Hi, welcome back. We have a beautiful topic today. I haven't recorded for probably a week because I took a trip to Ukraine and it was a haze. It was a lot. A lot was going on. And I started a new project and a lot of things started coming up. I basically got two jobs out of nowhere and I'm pursuing a lot of different things. Basically, life is throwing me all the different directions and I'm just like, whoa, I still have to wake up at 5 a.m. and run. And then I was like, isn't discipline readjustment and compromise and making deals with yourself through proper healthy communication and not destructing your body, mind, and soul because you said so? David Goggins, I respect him so much because he showed me what learning is through breaking bones, and allowed me to understand that I can recalibrate, reassess, readjust, and make deals with myself in a way that is respectful and more sustainable, healthier, and leads to more productivity and more results in the end. It's not taking away from his approach to discipline or learning through pain, but it's to add my personal layer of my own readjustment to my circumstances and thoughts and, pattern of processing information and learning lessons on top of what he gave me as a blueprint to, do this, to hurt and grow from it. I'm like, okay, I can do it. I just can't start a video not talking about David Goggins. I need to stop. Honestly, this is getting a bit old, but I just wanted to talk about taking steps back, not in a cowardly way, like, oh, this is getting too difficult, I'm stepping away. No, I still wake up at 6 a.m. Not 5, 6. I'm telling you, readjustments are great. And this video isn't just about, yo, now I wake up at 6 a.m., not 5 a.m. This would be so funny. This would be like, yo, guys, I lied. This video is more about overall making readjustments that can look like steps back, that can look like failures if you think about it. If you want to be disciplined, as the book says, and follow the plan no matter how you feel, this would be considered a failure. A readjustment, a reassessment, a recalibration would be considered stepping away from the plan and treating your mood as something more important than what your goal is. Well, that's not what discipline is, right? That's not what they tell us in the discipline courses and the, let's make this happen. But I want to dwell deeper into understanding of law of detachment, trusting, understanding flow, and balancing action and surrender in order for the plan to be sustainable. Because yes, you totally can push yourself to your limit, because you are a powerful human being with lots of potential. And in order to understand it, it's very, very beneficial to, take a month or two or even a year, depending on your situation, to push yourself to your literal limit and see and witness the amounts of things that you can do, the consistency that you can reach, the momentum that you can experience. It's wonderful just to understand your potential. But you don't have to operate on this I'm at my limit space all of the time in order to be productive. It all depends on your goals. That's why, this winter arc thing, I called that video exactly like that because I knew I'd get clicks, but it's not realistic for everyone to be going through a winter arc from November to December or January, It's not it's not real, it's not healthy. We all go through our own seasons, our own, now I got this job, someone got out of a relationship, someone got cheated on, someone had kids, someone got married, someone cut their hair, someone is in a depression. Like, people are going through so many different things. Someone opened a business, someone became a president. Wow. There are so many things. We can't be going through the same things and pushing ourselves to our limits all of the time, because these seasons change uncontrollably, because the change of seasons is out of our control. We are only witnesses to what happens in nature, just like in literal nature outside of our houses, just like the nature inside our minds and in our soul. Compromises, sacrifices are always a part of this journey. I actually started seeing ego in me wanting to push myself further. I started seeing ego in me wanting to go one more mile. Like, are you not confident in your discipline? Do you really feel like you are weak? Like, I don't know how to explain it fully. I love the feeling of pushing myself to go that extra mile, running it, and I enjoy the high, and I see my higher self in that state. I really respect myself. But sometimes when I'm in that momentum of like a few weeks of doing the same thing and feeling like respecting myself for it and being like, yeah, that's the momentum, that's the discipline, that's your potential, proud of you. Like, not proud of you. That's a weird feeling, actually. To be proud of yourself is an interesting feeling. It's worth exploring, but it's a tricky emotion. More of like, I respect you. And that's something that's addictive. And when you want to push yourself that one extra mile on a day where your body is breaking down or your mind is breaking down, or a circumstance or like your environment, a certain event is asking you to be in a different location at a different time, or on a night bus traveling through a war-affected country, you want to push yourself to run that extra mile again. I noticed ego in that. I noticed a fearful entity that desires control, that desires discipline. But discipline is synonymous with control in this situation. It's not just in consistency, self-love, respect, loyalty. It's not in devotion, being systematic and truthful. It's simply in not trusting yourself enough and knowing that if you fuck up this one day, you won't do it again because you broke the streak. And this dissolves the entire, like this basically erases the whole progress. It's being so not confident in yourself and in your plan that a small readjustment that is out of your control erases your entire progress, making you believe that you are worth nothing right now. If you don't do this, if you don't run this extra mile, you're nothing. That's destructive. And not in a good way. That's not destructive and progressive for your growth. It's destructive and taking away from your actual worth and something real inside. This was a pretty long intro and I haven't even started talking about what I wanted to talk about. So maybe it's very basic, but sometimes you have to regress to progress. I talked about a similar process in one of the last videos, Under a Tree. You know, that one in nature that I posted like a few days ago. It was about focusing your life, not your life situation. And I mentioned the nature of a tree. You have to regress sometimes to progress. Your productivity is not linear. Very basic line, very Instagram quote, but it isn't. It really isn't. In order to move forward, you have to regress a little bit. You have to do more negative push-ups in order to rep out more positive ones more effectively. You know, that's regression to progress. Maybe your technique was not right and you just needed to see the whole process from a negative to a positive, more scapular pull-ups to understand the process better. Maybe you were doing it wrong. Maybe your push-ups were not all the way down to the floor and you had to do more negatives in order to perfect that technique. Backwards in order to move forward. A little step backwards, or even a few, might seem like a failure, might seem like, yo, this is not looking good. This is actually, I'm failing so bad. Like, this is not moving forward. Will actually move you more forward than just staying in that better place, not progressing forward, even though you're trying. The technique is shit. You're not going to progress. You have to look back, fix the technique, or rest. Maybe your muscles are just super sore and you can't do more, you know? That's also considered a step backwards. Sometimes your perspective on the whole situation can shift the entire trajectory of your movement. You can stay in the actual progress space and rest for too long because you considered it a full failure. And while you're resting and regenerating, you're actually getting ready to push forward. But because you thought that it was a complete failure, after you rested, you don't even try to progress more, even though you're ready to rep out more reps. You just don't do it and you lose the progress and you just don't do push-ups anymore. Happens. There's nothing wrong in your growth not matching your expectations. It can look like needing to rest more while you didn't expect it, and that's why you can't wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. That's simply not discipline. I mean, by the book, it is. In the text, it says wake up at 5 a.m. and that's the discipline that you promise to show up for. That's the routine that you wrote for yourself. Do it, and you will do it, and you can do it, and you do it. But you end up feeling worse than if you woke up at 6 a.m., making a deal with yourself, showing even more discipline and even more trust in your word, It's even more challenging. While it seems like doing an easier thing, it's actually more difficult because you observe the ego and you tell it, actually, it is my choice. And I choose to do it, but with compassion towards my body, mind, and soul, because I need 1 more hour to regenerate. Recovery days. This is why athletes and gym bros have a hard time resting and not going to the gym for a few days. It's exhausting to not have full control of your situation. This is why gym is such a fucking spiritual experience. Basically, working out, moving your body in any way, is such a spiritual experience. If you look at it correctly, if you notice it, you can learn from it so much. It's like becoming a monk. It involves so many processes that if you observe it correctly and learn from it, you can elevate yourself spiritually just by working out. So setbacks, needing to rest more, maybe even having an illness of some sort or getting a cold or something that is unexpected, that is an energy dip of some sort, that is setting you back, shouldn't move you out of your rhythm. If you only view it as a part of your rhythm and readjust to the flow of it, you move like water, Bruce Lee. In your relationship with God, you are submissive. This is why I say, when I said, and when I mentioned in one of my videos that creativity is feminine, and so many people were like, oh, I lost her here. Creativity is not feminine. Guys, do you know that everyone has 2 polarities in them? There is non-duality in this duality. Like we all are literal just matter. You just have both things in you. This is what I mean. In your relationship with God, you are submissive. In your relationship with your ego, you have to be very dominant. You have to be like, actually, you can't do this to me. I'm in control. There is balance here. Everything is very relative. It depends where you put yourself in the spectrum of relationships with aspects in your life. So when you're following God and you want to detach from an outcome and follow the script as it is, you have to be so submissive and so trusting in yourself, in your God, in where you're guided, in your actions that need to align with your values, that you don't even attach yourself to the routine that much, because you know that no matter what, even if the routine falls apart, you still have the truth in you. You still are following the plan and you're still moving in the right direction because you said so, because you asked for it, because you worked for it. Steps backwards or readjustments are the part of your rhythm. They're not moving you out of the rhythm. They're not even hindrances, that they're not supposed to move you out of the rhythm. They're a natural part of it, like heartbeat. Like, beat and then drop. The drop isn't backwards. It literally is dropping down. A rhythm, by definition, involves drops. You can't skip the drop. Just treat them like the part of the rhythm and flow with them. So they're not hindrances, because the suffering is in your mind. The suffering that you create from resisting the step backwards is what actually creates the actual step backwards, which is dwelling in the suffering of your mind. I got a few examples that will show you how, if you treat those setbacks or steps backwards as a part of the journey, a part of the rhythm, and a part of the journey is too cliche to say right now. It doesn't just feel nicer, it gives you more results. Let's see. In business, when you have a slower month in your business, it's often due to factors that are outside of your control, like market conditions. Just like in anything. If you keep showing up at 5 a.m. when it's snowing, you can actually get a very serious asthma from the cold, and you won't be able to run for a few months, which will regress your progress tremendously, and that's not helpful. Even though you stay disciplined, you stay true to your word, this is actually hurting you, not helping you. This is going against God's will, not actually following the plan and being guided. It's just resisting. It's blatantly ego, being very fearful. So in order to move with the rhythm, you should use that slower month to evolve other parts of your business that you had no time to expand before. Use it as an opportunity. You literally were given an opportunity to look at other parts of your life, business, health, that need more of your attention in this time when you can't wake up at 5 a.m. and run because it's snowing and you have a cold. It's not just being compassionate and just being very soft and like, oh, okay, I have an excuse that is actually real and I'm just going to do nothing. Look at other parts of your life that need more of your attention. Use it as an opportunity to expand and evolve in other aspects of what you were given, what you're working on, this project specifically. Like do home workouts or something. Maybe this is more helpful for building your abs than running at 5 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? Just an example. Or maybe your marketing in the business is trash, and actually this time when the market is slow, when nothing is selling, is asking you to look for other ways how to make reels or something like that. Maybe edit your videos better. Readjust to what you are being given. If the month is slow because you're lacking qualification or execution of your plan isn't the best, that step backwards is recalibration, again an opportunity and a part of the rhythm. Your attitude towards the challenge makes a difference. Another example is obviously with running, for example, interval running. And this is a bit different, but the mechanism is still kind of the same. You create an environment that forces you to stop with your will. So it's not like something is out of your control and you're like, okay, now I gotta stop and reassess, but you're literally creating the rhythm yourself. We have environments in our lives that reflect literal nature that we are not in control of, that we create ourselves through our will in order to progress because we notice the pattern. Now let's notice that we notice the pattern that works in another aspect of our life and allow it to work in other parts of our lives. So when you do interval running, you do 1 minute of a very fast run and then you walk for 2 minutes. And you rest for that 2 minutes and you're able to do a very fast run for 2 minutes after that. And then you progress and you progress and you progress. And you can do more minutes after a few more sessions. And after a year, you're a fast runner. You know what I mean? So those minutes of rest can look like, no, I could run fast for 5 minutes without stopping and having to walk for 2 minutes. Like I could do that. That could be discipline. That could be a hard David Goggins run. But it's a different approach. It's a different system that allows me to do different things. And another example is with spiritual growth. Obviously, everything relates back to what we cannot see, or emotional, psychological growth, whatever you want to call it. There are fluctuations in our emotions because obviously they come and go. They're very unstable. I really like the word recalibration for some reason. I use it a lot. Like you're like, okay, I was focused. Now I need to tap on the screen one more time and refocus. Like I see it, but like let's just tap and see again. Like let's just make it very clear. And it doesn't mean that my vision is blurry all of the time. It just means that I want to tap once more to be like, you know what I mean? The same thing with everything. Taking a step back sometimes is very beneficial when you want to thank yourself from the past. Just glance back. Don't even look back. Just glance back at what you did. Look through your gallery. I do this a lot. When I talk down on myself, when I disrespect myself, which happens too often that I would like it to happen, I look back at the things that I did. I even write down my achievements in this very detached, not identified space. I'm like, you did this. I'm not saying I did this. I'm like, you did this. She did this. This is a very interesting practice because sometimes it's very difficult to understand the difficulty of a situation you're in. You're so hard on yourself that you force yourself to forget the emotional difficulty of a situation, the level of the discipline that you had to accumulate to go through something, the level of detachment that you had to master in order to not react to certain comments or opinions or circumstances. There are some things that you really need to force yourself to notice and give yourself that pat on the shoulder. Sometimes it's through journaling, but I really like just to look back at my old self, at my younger self, and think, wow, we really didn't come that far to just sabotage everything by calling it discipline and destruct our bodies, minds, and souls. This is why the soft girl wave was so popular, because girls started waking up to the hustle culture and all that. One radical thing versus another radical thing. Well, let's find the golden equilibrium somewhere, because I feel like I'm really fed up with the pink coquette type of a situation that we have going on, and I don't think it's productive or helping anymore. Well, it was just like feminism was a response to something very extreme. It became another very extreme. How did I get there? Can I make just one peaceful, chill video with no controversial, unrelatable, risky things that I say? Look back at your history of your past wins. Even if you feel like you don't have the past wins, you can glance back as far as your childhood, when you were learning to read or write or walk or talk to people or introduce yourself. Anything like that. A basic skill is a win. You were evolving with nature. You were following God's design. You were moving and flowing like water, not resisting anything. And thanking yourself for surrendering to that process is discipline. And not resisting that process is discipline, because you are disciplined by nature. You are not supposed to be distracted. You are not a lazy person. You are experiencing laziness. You are acting lazy. You're not underqualified. You're just very distracted. You're lacking consistency. You're lacking structure. You're not all of those things. You're not low value. You're acting low value because you're super distracted. So look back at the time in your life where you were not distracted. It could be where you reached a goal that was so big that now you have evidence that you are actually not a lazy person. You are just now acting lazy and not disciplined and resisting. Resisting can be through pushing too hard or laying back too hard, you know? So look back at that huge win and remember that you could do it, so you can do it again. You can move into that momentum again. Or look back at a time in your life where you knew nothing about discipline, but you were still flowing and following God's plan, like learning to walk. You were evolving in your own rhythm. You were falling, which was also a part of the rhythm. You wouldn't be walking right now on your two legs if you didn't fall that first, second, third, fifth time when you were starting to walk. So honor those times. Thank yourself from the past for not giving up, because you could have fallen, just stayed there, you know. You could have just stayed there, but you didn't, because it would just be absurd, right? Use all those things that worked in the past, reassess, and honor your steps backwards as a part of your rhythm. Okay, let's go to the sauna and just sweat everything out and just pray and breathe and meditate. Life is beautiful when you don't think. You're just like a little capybara floating on warm water. That's what I'm embodying. And I'm still gonna run in the morning. Don't get me wrong.